I'm with Bernhard Fragner, the CEO of Globair, based out of Austria. Now, you guys have been incredibly busy during this period, Bernhard. Could you share about with us what you do and why you've been so busy recently?
Yeah. Hello, Liz. It's always a pleasure being in your chat room. So thank you for this. I really appreciate it. Yes, our team is quite busy, although we are, of course, facing a bit lower demand. But actually, in the back office, we need way more resources because we have to tackle all these restrictions, and they are in the last 2 weeks. I remember they're changing almost every hour. So the majority of our flights are repatriation flights, so bringing people back home. And we also changed a bit our model because we don't have anymore this floating base model. We have identified various bases. So where we fly out, we do our mission and coming back. And this is mainly because it's tough to find hotels and let's say restaurants for crew. So that's why we fly back to those places where we have crew living there. Very important. And so the entire logistics behind is way more complex than it was before.
Yes, and I guess it's also you have to be much more mindful about how you're keeping the crew and the aircraft safe during this too.
Correct.
Can you give us some insight, onto that?
Correct. We had immediately some, let's say, some concerns to take care on our crew. So we implemented a whole set of additional procedures of disinfection of the aircraft, how our passenger or how our crew gets in contact with our passengers. So we don't do any onboard service anymore. We keep mainly, if we fly to various countries, we don't. So the crew doesn't leave the, let's say, the airside. We stay on airside. We pick up the passenger. We try to keep as much distance as possible. Always the same crew is flying together, so we don't mix up anymore the pilots. So a lot of action items to mitigate the risk that the crew gets infected and can keep going. We changed the roster of the crew. Our safety department is fully active and behind. We have organized a lot of basic supplies for disinfection, so disinfection tissues, liquids, and masks. And this gives a confidence to the crew and our passengers as well. So there was a whole set of actions to take that we can keep up with the operations. And it's not easy these days to find all these supplies.
And that's another thing. I saw on LinkedIn the other day that you are also ferrying vital supplies from A to B. Can you share a little bit about that? Because this is a wonderful way business aviation can pitch up and assist in this crisis.
Sure. We learned in those days it's not about bringing tons of material from A to B. It's really helping on very short term, having a few hundred kilos and packages of this and that to various places because the people getting desperate, right? And you want to help, and you and even if you bring, I don't know, hundreds of disinfection supplies to somewhere, it helps in that moment till the entire supply chain, I don't know, from Asian zone comes back. So this is important.
I totally agree, and even if you can't help everyone in the world instantly, if you're helping someone in the world,
correct, every little help is now needed. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we were talking just before I hit record. How are you keeping your spirits going? What is it that's your core mission at the moment?
Yeah, so I think it's very important to motivate yourself. So I'm always very positive, and we had also, when we started this business back in 2008, not easy times. So I know, or I have an idea how to manage a crisis, and of course I learned a lot more about this. And it's very, so for me, a motivation is that I can keep the team together. So we have 120 team members or more, and there's family behind, the kids behind, and we all can help together that we can keep can keep the team together, not to make them redundant or so on. So internal communication is very important. I spend half of my day basically now every day on communicating to the team, keep them motivated. It's first rewarding and back. They do something. We see that you can do something. There's no need to lean back and wait for some magic or whatever. Do something. Keep yourself busy, and looking forward and manage day to day to get out of this. And if you look around, so many other people are working and helping each other and doing the best to manage this crisis. And I think this keeps us alive, and we avoid to get desperate. We all have to make the best out of it.
I totally agree. And this is the point of these conversations as well, to have leaders like yourself. Had a great conversation with Adam Twidell yesterday. He was saying what they're doing in private light, which we will put out as well. I think it's really important to hear leaders share about how you're keeping teams going and keeping their spirits up. You know, if you read the news, the world has ended. You know, it's not the case. Are there any things that you're doing in particular at Globare? You know, we're talking about the communications. Is there any one thing that you're doing that might help others too, as far as sharing?
We have an internal communication platform. We use Workplace basically, and we have the team gets a daily update. We have identified we have a dedicated crisis team first, Mm-hmm. And we do a daily briefing on various areas, and we have identified areas where we're looking constantly into it, like what's about the health and safety status of the crew. How is our liquidity? How is the demand looking? How is the crew roster looking? Where do we park aircrafts? Where we do disinfect aircraft? So we have a whole action item list, and every day we go through this. And afterwards, we prepare internal communication to the entire team and telling them what we are doing. Because we have some crews sitting at home. I have a few Italian pilots. They are since weeks in quarantine. You know, they are scared to lose their jobs. So we keep them constantly updated. Yesterday we ran our payroll and wired all the salaries of March. So we tell them every little detail we do here to give confidence. You know, that the absolute priority must be beyond health is no panic at all. Mm-hmm. So and we learned because we're in a business where we work with many people, they are somewhere based, right? Communication is the number one key element, and in this way you get such a strong spirit. It's amazing.